music was still playing on my phone. Aloha, beautiful cosmic family. It's Bliss here, taking my speaker out of my jacket and here for a little tune in together. If you think this love stream is going to be inspiring, please share it. That's called gifting. Lots and lots and lots of things to share. I'm starting to do a series of shares on here day by day now, and if you're interested in the other shares, go to the links in the description box from my other Facebook shares. So the veils have come off, and there's many ways to share excuse me, messages and transmissions to help our great cosmic family wake up. And so today's share is about the courage of the human heart to overcome the play that we created for ourselves, and to recognize, to ask ourselves where we are giving our consent because of fear. And we are coming out of a creation that we made, that we all know, called duality, and in that play there was the belief that there was something outside of us. There was the push-pull, the good, bad, the right, wrong, the black, the white. And as we rise into ninth wave unity consciousness, which is what is happening on the planet right now, our perceptions change. Our old lenses come off, and we start to see our reality and our creation in a different way. And the only thing that might hang on is our belief that we are our ego, that we are our blueprints, that we are the role that we played in the play. So if you think this live stream is going to be inspiring, please share it. That's called gifting. We're ready for another takeoff and a big share kind of day. So what I was prompted to share about in the fictional fiction, it's a new moon kind of day. And the astrologers say that this new moon really sets the way for the next 3 months of superabundance. And let's really look at what superabundance is. And there's many different levels and perspectives that we can speak of it. The ultimate superabundance is the liberation of oneself from the egoic consciousness, and that's what all of the tried and true long-standing traditions teach us, is that we are here to overcome the ego. And so the thing about this hologram is it's kind of like a fun park to come and play in the hologram. And so we're not saying that we have to leave the play today. It's just the recognition that we are not the roles in the play. And as we recognize that, the courage of the human heart is the way. And where is that courage really to be applied but within ourselves? To ask ourselves where we are giving our consent to relationships, to beliefs, to behavioral patterns, and to systems that we realize were all a fiction. And so a lot of the systems that humans were bound by in the fictional fiction through the false narrative are systems that were enforced through brutality. And that's how they sustained their place. And of course, those kinds of containers have dense rigidity, and ultimately the human heart rises up to overcome force and brutality. And so a lot of the systems on the planet were maintained by force and brutality, and false narrative of war and division was sold to the consciousness. And when we say sold, we mean sold. So this is where we get into the concept of all the financial systems. This is a call out to every human being on the planet, regardless of the role, the bloodline, the official standing. This is a call out to awaken our consciousness within our egoic perceptions and the roles that we've created. and to realize that there is no power outside of us. We are eternal beings and eternal light. And I share bits and pieces of my own journey and my own story to help inspire others to realize that when we stand in our whole light, which is the union of the opposites of polarity, to stand in our whole light means that we can stand in the light, we can stand in the dark, in coherence and neutrality, and not judge it. And that's where our true power lies. So if this love stream is inspiring, please share it. That's called gifting. And share it with your friends, share it with your family, to just ask yourself certain questions. Where are we giving our consent to systems? So I'm guided to share a little bit about my dear friend, Ralph Ring. Ralph is like one of my soul fathers on the planet. And Ralph was flying Nikola Tesla teleportation devices that he created with a man named Otis T. Carr and a group of people who were creating these levitation devices. And we're talking about this today because we're going to weave it into the systems where we are still possibly playing and giving our consent to, that are fictions, and for this courageous family to rise beyond the systems that place middleman in between us and the spirit ourselves, in between us and the power of our true consciousness. So take what resonates, throw the rest away. We are pure source consciousness in form, having an experience. So when Ralph Ring was in his early 20s, he connected with a man named Otis T. Carr. And Ralph had a government kind of job where he started to see that the systems, he was doing laboratory tests. And if you go to his work, he can explain all that he was doing. But we're just going to say that he was doing specific laboratory tests. And he was making observations, and when he was reporting those observations to his superiors, they were telling him that he was not supposed to talk about those things, even though he felt like he was being given this job to discover these things. That's when he started to discover the suppression of information about energy. So that's quite an adamantine particle there when we talk about the suppression of information of energy. We are pure source energy in form, and that's what these transmissions are here to help us remember. So this love stream is inspiring. Please share it. That's called gifting. And so we are going to continue to share some more about these things. Okay, so Otis T. Carr was Nikola Tesla's apprentice, and Otis was given many things and many documents and all of the teachings from Nikola Tesla. And Nikola told Otis that the consciousness wasn't ready to receive what he was bringing, and asked Otis to sit on the information and bring it forth when he felt that the consciousness was ready to receive it. And so he brought it forward in the 50s. They brought together a group of people that were interested in the information of pure source consciousness inform the truth of who we are. And Otis began to share those teachings. And from those teachings and from Nikola Tesla's documents, they were able to create levitation devices. So they brought those levitation devices to the car companies, and they said, we want to introduce levitating cars. And basically they were told that they were trying to undermine the financial systems of the planet and that they would be stopped. And Ralph came out in 2010 and began sharing all of these stories, and that's when I connected with him, and we began our incredible journey together. And he's really a teacher of consciousness, Ralph Ring, if you want to look him up. And so they were told by the car companies that they were going to be shut down, and they went back to the lab and they completed their 40 something foot levitation craft, and they had successful teleportation. After that occurred, they got knocks on the door by the men in black, so to speak, who were just playing their role in the play. And that's what we want to help everyone remember, is that everyone has been playing roles in the play. And it is the miracle coordinate for everyone to wake up beyond the drama, beyond the self-importance and the need to be seen inside of our egoic consciousness. And that is the work, that is the play within each one of us. So we're sharing all of these different pieces for each one of we to just consider the truth of who we are and what is really happening on the planet, because it's an inside job. So the men in black shut them down and gave them a cease and desist and told them never to speak again. So why am I sharing all of these pieces this Miracle Day? Because one of the things that Ralph told me is that levitating craft don't crash. And that undermines a lot of financial systems. It undermines the belief that we need insurance. It undermines the legal systems that create massive court cases and huge legal settlements. All these things around money that create fear in the consciousness. And so as we rise up, we really have to look at where we give our consent to things like insurance, car insurance, driver's licenses, physical cars. All of these things bind us to a matrix that is a dinosaur that is dead. And it's not good, bad, right, or wrong. We're not making it evil. We are just sharing with the consciousness to ask inside of the self, where are we giving our human consent? Because we're in a consent reality, and it is a collective consent reality. And as the consciousness begins to ascend, we begin to realize, what? Levitating cars don't crash? And so many people know about the suppression of free energy technology. So we begin to put pieces together bit by bit as we bring our consciousness back into the truth of who we are, which is pure source consciousness in form that created a play and an experiment. So we begin to do the journey back home within, and first of all, we believe that everything is outside of us and separate, and then we begin to realize that everything is a mirror for the work that we have to do within, and then we take our energy within and we go within and we start to do that work. When we start to do that work, we realize that we can influence the field by how we interface with energy with our pure source consciousness. And so as we take our energy back step by step, we begin to realize there is nothing outside of us. There is nothing that has power or authority outside of us. There is no enemy outside of us. Each one of us, the field is 100% equalized at this point. Yesterday was Shivaratri. And it's massive equalization of the energy field that we can now talk about these things openly to help our family remember. There is no superior officer. Someone with a gun is not more powerful than someone who knows the power of prayer. Everything is equal. It is an inside job. And most of the Western world is still giving their consent to driver's licenses, car insurance, passports, borders, boundaries, airports, customs, all of these things, when they are systems that are egos. They are systems that are egos created through collective consent. All of these things are systems that our egos created through collective consent. Ralph always said that by time people realized how to build the teleportation craft, they wouldn't need it, because the teleportation craft and the construction of it would remind them of the truth of who they are, and that we don't need technology outside of ourselves. So Many of us are still playing games inside of the systems. This is why this month my guidance told me to stop doing the online retreats in the way that I'm doing and inviting an exchange. And for many miracle years, I didn't invite an exchange. I just open sourced my gifts to the world. In 2019, I was guided to create simple containers for equal exchange so that I could still participate at the level that I was participating at to help assist consciousness to unplug itself from the 3D mechanisms. In the middle of February, the guidance said, that's it. No more selling our consciousness. Yes, we are open to receiving equal exchange from the universe in the way that resources come to us naturally. And so for most of the Western world, people are giving their consents to mortgages, to banks, to rents, and doing jobs that they hate to pay for these systems. There is nothing evil. There is no one outside of us. It is up to our human family now to remember the truth of who we are collectively and to have conversations with our loans officer, to have conversations with our landlord, to have conversations with each other, to share the consciousness that we are all one field of consciousness, that we are in unity consciousness. It is the time to have intelligent conversations with those that we have given authority to outside of ourselves, that we believe are more powerful than us, like landlords. And as we have intelligent conversations to go, what would it take for me to stop charging for what I do and you to stop inviting exchange? What would it take, human consciousness, for all of us to do this and realize if we all do it, the whole system that the egos created at the level of duality collapses. There's nothing, there's no enemy here, there's no one to fight. This is a collective invitation, invocation, inspiration of our pure source consciousness that resides in the cell of every single body on the planet. This transmission is invoking a level of ninth wave unity consciousness. So there's many other pieces to share in many ways, and I think I'm just going to contain this love stream where it's at. If this love stream is inspiring, please share it. That's called gifting. And we know that where two or more gather, this love stream has entered the awareness of our collective human consciousness. So for those who have gathered and joined me here, we love we, I love you. Thank you for bringing your energy here to consider some of these questions, ponder, contemplate inside of us the power that we have to enter ninth wave now, not on the evolutionary spiral of thousands of years. We have the capacity to do this now with all the right people activating themselves to go, you mean I'm not my ego, I don't have anything to fear outside of myself. All I have to do is ignite my powers and share them. That is where we are at now. That is the invocation of Sophia now, as it is flooding our collective consciousness. I call forth the courageous, I call forth the awakened, I call forth those who are still paying taxes, insurance, and all those things to stand up and make a stand inside of ourselves, to awaken those parts of us, to invoke the cosmos to show us the higher way, to transcend these final egoic structures that we all created through collective consent. They are, the structures in place are inorganic. It's like the cocoon on the caterpillar. It's brittle and it's falling away. And so as we awaken the spirit of the human consciousness, the children coming into the planet, they don't have to deal with this. This part is to be dealt with by those of us who lived inside of these systems, who played inside of these systems, who gave our consent, conscious or unconscious. It is for us to now collectively dissolve them, recognizing that they were all egoic constructs, that those who played roles of authority, those who played roles of aggression, those who played roles of suppression, those who played roles of denial, those who played roles of victim and victimizer, it includes the entire human family. We are all responsible to dissolve these final remnants of ego within us that play in a victimizer consciousness, to say, we're done. We make the declaration vibrationally to the universe together as one. And we will say that it takes a very small number of people, technically, energetically, because one avatar is more powerful than a million people. Are you an avatar? Are you ready to do this? Are you ready to stop going to the motor vehicle branch and insuring your car? Are you ready to start driving without a driver's license? Are you ready to stop giving consent to airlines and to travel authorities creating false narratives about a fictional virus on the planet? Are we ready to rise up in love and realize we did it together? Because there is no one outside of us that created all of those things. We created them on all these levels to awaken ourselves collectively together, and we did it, and we're here now, and everyone is feeling it in their human heart. So these are the next steps that will take our human family forward, is to have these conversations, to stop showing up at these places that require us to continue to give our consent and mark a little M box or a little F that say we're separate. I'm only male, I'm only female, and here's my name and my signature and my agreement, and I agree to paying insurance for a crash in a car in case some massive lawsuit called money is levied against me. But Source is the one that's giving us life, not the money, not the insurance, not the cars, not the authorities, not the brutality, not the guns, not the law enforcement, not the armies. Source is what is giving us life. And this is an invocation for every human to be fully connected to the source that gives them life and be flooded with epiphanies of awareness of unity consciousness to dissolve these systems in our beliefs, in our consent, in our collective awareness, such that super abundance flows amongst all of us, meaning each being shows up with their gifts, all of their resources, to bring them collectively together, and in coherence and neutrality, we have the way forth. It's called unity. It's the Sophia. And the messages of how to do this are coming through many of us who know how to organize these systems together. So coherence is key. It is the miracle to transcend the egoic reality, which invoked pain and suffering and separation. And so we've done that as a collective, and this transmission is just to share some things to contemplate, to realize that we are not bound by time, gravity, or any of the systems that have held the fictional fiction, false narrative, monopoly board, war game, prison planet in place. All of that is done. The heart knows the way, the heart guides the way, and the heart, those living by the heart and listening to the messages of their heart, as I am today to share this message, that is what unlocks the superabundance. Everyone living from and speaking from the heart will be super sourced by the universe, because the heart is the largest electromagnetic field of the body, and that's what communicates with the field, and the field responds to the communication of the heart that is coming through us, that guides us to do things in a different and unique way from what we have known on this planet. So this is the beginning of the dissolution in totality of those systems, and I see the human family intelligently, heart intelligently rising together. If you're one of those people and you know who you are, I'm calling you out. Contact me. I'm getting some incredible messages from people who are organizing systems that allow for this transformation to occur easily. We love we, I love you, and to all of our human family, to our cosmic family, to our star nations, I am evoking, inspiring, inviting full super abundant assistance from we and you and you. It's the miracle coordinate to take responsibility for the ego and every level of fear that is compromising, that we are choosing to accept, where we are compromising the truth of what we know we are as spirit in form. That is my invitation. Look within the self and transcend those pieces where you're still giving your authority to fictional system. Levitating cars don't crash. We are the greatest technology ever, and we have the capacity to unlock this technology within. As Ralph Ring said, by time we know how the craft operates, we don't need it. We love we so much. If this love stream is inspiring, please share it. That's called gifting. We love we. Aloha.